Chapter 4. The Infinite Adaptability, Kelly Slater. The Geometric Silence. The rugged, salt-sprayed cliffs of Australia didn't just fade, they were digitally deconstructed. The roar of the Southern Ocean was replaced by a strange, rhythmic hum, a mechanical pulse that sounded like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Kai opened her eyes to a world of impossible perfection. She was no longer in the wild. She was at the Surf Ranch, 2018. Before her lay a long, narrow basin of water, a mirror-flat canal that stretched for hundreds of yards. The air was still, smelling of fresh water and scorched earth. There were no clouds, no unpredictable winds, and no wait for the ocean to decide its mood. Here, the wave was a choice. In her hands, her board was a marvel of carbon fiber and epoxy. It was feather-light, almost nervous, responding to the slightest twitch of her fingers. It was a tool designed for a world where every millimeter mattered. The architect of excellence, sitting on the edge of the concrete pier, tossing a pebble into the still water, was a man who seemed to be composed of pure focus. Even in repose, he looked like he was calculating the trajectory of a planet. Kelly Slater. He was the king. 11 world titles. A career that spanned generations. He had beaten the legends of the 80s, the icons of the 90s, and was still the man to beat in the new millennium. But as Kai approached, she didn't see a king. She saw a scientist of the soul. "It's perfect, isn't it?" Kelly said, without turning around. His voice was soft, precise, yet filled with an underlying intensity. No tide, no wind, just the physics of the energy moving through the medium. "It doesn't feel like the ocean," Kai said, looking at the stillness. "It's not," Kelly replied, standing up. "It's a laboratory. Out there in the wild, the ocean is a conversation. Here, the wave is a question. And the question is always, how much can you change?" The philosophy of the infinite. Kelly walked with her toward the water. He didn't speak of strength or zen. He spoke of adaptability. The biggest loop people fall into, Kai, is the loop of their own success, Kelly explained. They find a way to do something well, and they stop growing. They become statues. But a statue can't surf. To stay on top for 30 years, I had to kill my old self every single season. I had to unlearn everything I knew about my equipment, my diet, and my turns. If you aren't evolving, you're already gone. He looked at the long, empty canal. Most surfers want the wave to fit them. I want to fit the wave. I want to be the water that fills the cup. To be unstoppable, you must be infinitely adaptable. The machine awakens. A siren wailed, a haunting, industrial sound that echoed across the valley. At the far end of the basin, a massive metal plow began to move. It tore through the water, creating a wake that transformed, with mathematical precision, into a perfect, barreling wave. "Watch," Kelly said. He didn't just paddle, he launched. As the wave surged past the pier, Kelly was already standing. He wasn't just riding, he was dissecting. He moved with a speed that defied the eye, carving lines that looked like lightning strikes. He would disappear into a tube that lasted for 30 seconds, then emerged to fly 5 feet into the air, spinning like a top before landing back in the transition. "Now you," he shouted from the shoulder as he finished his ride, his breath as steady as if he had just walked across a room. The pressure of perfection, Kai paddled into the path of the mechanical giant. There was no feel for the swell here, only the relentless approach of the machine. The wave was flawless. Every curve, every lip, every pocket was exactly where it was supposed to be. This was the ultimate test of her mind. In the wild, you can blame the wind or a bad section for a mistake. Here, there were no excuses. If you failed, it was because you failed to adapt. She popped up. The wave was fast, much faster than it looked from the shore. She felt the board vibrating under her feet. For a second, the loop of her own inadequacy returned. You can't keep up. The technology is too much. The perfection is too high. Don't fight the machine. Kelly's voice rang out from the side. Become the gear, adjust. Now. Kai shifted her weight. She moved her back foot just an inch to the right. She leaned into the curve. Suddenly, the board locked in. She began to dance. She wasn't thinking about how to surf. She was reacting to the feedback of the water. She carved. She sped up. She slowed down. She was no longer a passenger. She was the pilot of her own evolution. The lesson of the king. As the wave finally dissipated at the end of the track, leaving the water once again in its eerie, flat silence, Kai felt a different kind of exhaustion. This wasn't the physical burn of Australia or the spiritual depth of Hawaii. This was mental clarity. "You adjusted," Kelly said, paddling over to her. "You didn't try to ride it like Duke's Alea or Jerry's Bolt. You recognized the new reality, and you changed yourself to meet it. That is the only way to stay in the game, Kai. The world will always change. The technology will change. The waves will change. But if you are the master of change itself, you are the master of everything." He looked at her, his eyes sharp and analytical. "You have the will, you have the flow, you have the heart, but you are still missing the deepest connection. You are still looking at the wave from the outside." Kelly pointed toward the setting sun, toward a place where the mountains meet the sea in a crown of mist. "Go to the garden. Look for the man who doesn't just ride the wave, but who knows its secrets before it is even born. Look for the one they call John John." The high-tech basin began to dissolve into a lush, green wilderness. The hum of the machine turned into the melodic song of tropical birds.